We have, over the last 15 years or so, made many proposals for big projects around primarily the United States. So I'm often given a site, and it has particular specifications. It's a particular kind of context, and you have to address that context and work within that context. And when I was invited to make a proposal for Park Avenue, I thought of it as a very particular, specific, special place. And I see it a little bit like New York City's living room, in the sense it's almost like it's very elegant. And when you drive up and down Park Avenue, you're very conscious of entering a space of elegance and sophistication and like New York City's ground living room, and almost like an Italian piazza, but extended. And so, for me, it's always had a great deal of significance. It's with New York, if Times Square is the bawdy, outrageous, over-the-top quality of New York, just showing off as much as possible. Park Avenue is where we pull back, and we're more, sort of haughty and aristocratic. And,
all the time.
But it's the other still beating heart of New York City. So I also thought of New York City has these winds that move up and down the streets and around the buildings. Some of those winds can be, sweep you along, and I also think of it in a metaphorical way. There's a lot of wind in New York City. There's a lot of turbulence and air flow and mental wind as well, not just physical wind. And so I thought of this big wind that blew up Park Avenue, and as it blew up the avenue, it pushed things like paper. It pushed paper up the avenue because there's a lot of paper that goes around and goes back and forth in this city, and it created the sculptures. It dropped things down. It pushed things along the avenue, and then it created this kind of turbulence and created the pieces and left them there. And in my mind, metaphorically. And so that's how the pieces got made. And I thought of this kind of turbulence as energy, and as the energy of the city, and the energy of ideas, and the energy of the egos that keep bumping up against each other in the city. And so it's both, it's energy, it's positive energy, it's exciting, it's ideas, it's where all sorts of schemes are hatched. And it's also bombast, but a little bit more restrained than Times Square. But still, it's ego bombast. and so that's what part of this is about. And this kind of whirling, swirling quality to these pieces, curvilinear. Each one is slightly different than the other. But that notion of this kind of turbulence, which is sort of like a whirlpool, and as it, in the terms of in physics, you see it as a kind of whirlpool which underlies so much phenomena. Whether it's the galaxies, the whirlpool notion, curvilinear swirling notion of the galaxies, or just the way water swirls and whirls, or hurricanes, or you just see that pattern in so many different things.
So it's like the forces of nature and the intellectual together.
That's right, exactly.
Yeah?
Yes.
That's the point.
That's the point. You got to the point. You got it. And so each one has its own sort of individual quality, but they're meant to talk to each other as you go up, to thematically speak to each other, and to have, have the sense that they've sort of dropped down. And the end one has a kind of tornado-like quality to it, and that was what was created for the Armory show, 7 feet high, but I believe it's closer to 25 feet high when it's on, somewhere in there.
25 feet high.
I get them mixed up, 22, 25, somewhere in that area. And I think some of the others are like 18. That one is 15, 16. This one is actually 70 feet long. So looking at sculpture, and I'm just right now calling them sculpture A, B, C, D, E, F. Sculpture C we've just changed out because after I did it, I looked at it and I thought, that isn't my favorite one. So I've just invented a new one for there, and which we're trying to print up for you, but we'll give it to you. That is more, just a little bit busier and more tornado-like, more curvilinear. You know, I was thinking today about this notion. I was just on the NASA site, and they're talking about interstellar wind, and this notion of this wind sort of swirling through the universe, leaving bits and pieces of things, some of which can be used, you know. But it's the same kind of dynamics as sort of swirling up Park Avenue.
Interstellar wind, yeah.
Interstellar wind.
Yeah, I was checking NASA 2 days ago because I'm kind of, you know.
Like it. yeah.
And
The
then we
pictures.
said, what is that?
Yeah, there was.
Interesting.
And then of course there's all of the magnetic. Here he's going to bring us the new picture of the new one I just invented. I mean, that's the thing. I'm not going to change anything else now. Everything else.
So there
is
will
the
be
same.
six.
So
And 6 pieces between 52 and
57.
57 and 68.